boxing on Channel 5. Defending his name, his legacy. Harlem Eubank, battling his way up the super lightweight rankings. Can he remain undefeated? Big Fight Live, Eubank versus Uruzquieta, Friday at 10 on Channel 5.
Razaban IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to have with me on Zoom this Sunday evening, Johnny Nelson. Johnny, thank you for giving me a little bit of your time this evening. I know you've been quite busy today. How are things?
All good. I'm tired, actually. I'm tired because I just had a busy day. I've been down in Aylesbury today doing a signature class with a gym down there. And I set up for a fight last night. It wasn't a late one, but sure. And I'm fasting, so it's just taking a larvae.
Signature class, meaning?
So basically, like certain gyms, they'll want me to go down and do a boxing class for them. And so there's probably about 30 of them, you know, shapes and sizes, you know, working on the basics, hand-eye coordination, footwork, the basics, just that's how we did it. So it was just like a 2-hour thing.
How did your hips work?
Yeah, I'm still on fire, Trent. I'm still on fire. I'm still on Pegasus gym. It was in Aylesbury. They actually, is it Pegasus? I think it's Pegasus. Sorry, boys, if I got it wrong. But it was a good little setup.
Good. Yeah, just wanted to touch base. Obviously, yesterday we saw the return of Anthony Joshua back in the UK against Jermaine Franklin. Just your overall assessment of the fight first.
First of all, I'm glad he won. It was nice to see the fans still turned out. I think my main question after the Usyk fight was, the problem isn't now. The problem is what his next fight will tell us, and maybe should have time off to get his head right and decide his reasonings for doing it. I think, and I love AJ, man, and I like him. So don't edit this thing out. I think his natural instinct and fire and desire has gone. I think, I mean, I'm not saying I think that he's now fighting on ego. And I think, you know, you look round the ringside, you see members of his team with their head in their hands thinking. And I personally think he's now fighting for the wrong reasons. And then I think that affects your appetite, it affects your reasoning, it affects your drive. I think he actually tried to box with more intent to think about what he was doing, but he's 33 years old. And there's little things he's doing now that he shouldn't be doing when he's in the clinch looking over at the corner mid-fight. You know, you just don't do that. You know what you're doing at this point. At 33 years old, you know what you're doing. You know what you've got to do. You've just got someone there to say, do this, that, and the other when you go out to the corner. And I just think at 33, I'm not saying he's over the hill. So don't people start get silly on that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying at 33, he should know better by now. He shouldn't be making such rookie mistakes because you could be looking and go over there. My mum whips a shot over the top and you get clipped. I just think it's bad, man. I just think we've seen the best of him. And I'm saying that because I know that AJ's an amazing athlete, an amazing specimen. And I think what he's achieved in a short space of time in his career has been, you can't compare it to anybody and anything else. You can't. And I know, I'm quite sure most of those guys you've spoken to, they're going to try and pussyfoot around what they're saying. But behind the back, they're going to say, they're going to say whatever they're saying. I'm up front. You ask me a question, I'm giving an answer. This is my opinion. Now, AJ's fighting for whatever reason he wants to fight for. It's not for me to say, you know, you should jack in, you should this, that, and the other. What I'm saying is, even with this fight, people said, what do you think AJ should do if he loses? And I said, well, he shouldn't be losing to this man here. So if he does lose, he should walk away because he's above that level. Franklin was became a bit of a handful because up close to a grabbing, it was getting messy. It was getting them. The fans expected a knockout. They wanted a knockout, and AJ was trying to give him a knockout, but there were certain traits in his fight, his style of fight that says, you know what, it's not going to get any better than this. I think because he's too knowledgeable. He's had too much experiences of loss and being knocked out. And so what you saw was a man that's like, you saw a man that wanted to win and a man that didn't want to lose. You understand? And so you know the one that wanted to win, you know the man that didn't want to lose. So to have that, it's like, I don't know, Kell Brook against Amir Khan. You know, Kell went in there to win. Amir Khan went in. Not Amir Khan went in there. He didn't want to lose. He didn't want going to go in there and win. You know, he didn't want to lose, and that's what I sensed. Now, I'm not speaking for AJ, and I'm quite sure they're going to be pissed off because you know it doesn't represent. I'm not representing what he thinks, but I tell you now, his people around him, his boys around him, they've got to be honest with him. Stop slapping a man in his back and telling him you're doing that right, that's right, that's right. At this stage in his life, when you're in a fight, you aren't looking over the corner to see cornerman, you know, whatever. You ain't playing them games now. You know your shit. You've got your shit together. And I'm not saying this again because he's not on Sky. I'm saying what I saw. And people like you, everybody are saying, "Well, the fight wasn't all that," because they expected an AJ knockout. They were deflated. Now, my word was AJ needs to go back. The effect of the Usyk losses. Remember, before this fight, he'd lost 3 out of his last 5. So, effect of those losses is a reality to think, Jesus, I'm actually not the best fight in the world, and that is not something you fix overnight. That's something that takes time to get in your head to think, why am I doing this? What do I want this for? What is our motivation? What is my desire? And I just saw a couple of things shift and change. And I hope to God I'm wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong. But that's just how I read it. That's just how I saw it.
Johnny, I spoke to Dave Caldwell a little while ago today and Spencer Fearon, and I said that when David Price took those 2 losses from Tony Thompson, he was never the same fighter again. And what I'm not doing here is comparing careers. Anthony Joshua's, won the world title twice, a unified champion, absolutely has had a better career than David Price. But David Price never recovered from those 2 losses. He was a complete changed man, and Dave Caldwell trained him towards the latter part of his career. Everyone's talking about how Joshua hasn't been the same since Vladimir Klitschko and Andy Ruiz. Your old trainer, your old mate, Dominic Ingle, has said that we've seen the best of Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua
I agree.
has already peaked.
I agree.
All these factors together, is that what is making you come up with your own conclusion with what you just said, that Joshua is now fighting?
I agree. I think we've seen the best of Anthony Joshua. That rawness, that ruggedness, that rough edge, what AJ had made him. That's why he shot through everything and everybody. Now he's thinking twice about what he's doing. Now he's scarred by experiences, good and bad. Now he's surrounding himself with people that are look out for him, but they got to be real with him. They got to be honest with him. Go back, look at people, look at his own people. Like now, and AJ, because of the things he said, gives me the impression he's an honourable man, and his heart's in the right place. So I think he'd struggle to just fight for the money. And so if he's trying to kid himself to say that's what he's doing, he's going to get hurt. I think he'd struggle to lie to himself. And even after the fight, he accepted, I wanted to knock him out, I wanted to do this. AJ, you're not a novice. You're a former 2-time world heavyweight champion. And so now you need to be talking with ownership and self-belief of who you are and what you can do. And so little things in the fight when I'm seeing them looking over the corner, I'm thinking, you know what? There's no excuse for that thing there. You should know what you're doing. You've got your man in the corner to tweet you, to say, do this, do that, do this. You shouldn't be asking anybody for outside advice apart from your corner man. You shouldn't be. But what I'm saying is, when you go back to the corner, do your job, in and out, execute. I saw some footage of AJ sparring with um, Joe Joyce, and if I'm honest with you, I thought, damn, because his movement was relaxed and cool and bah. It was on, and I'm thinking, I've never seen that, and this was AJ. I've never seen that, and so I know what talent, real talent, this guy's got when he's relaxed and when he's in his own comforts. I know he's got all the talent in the world, but I also know that from watching last night's performance tells me that Anthony Joshua is mentally not the fighter he was, and I believe that losing 3 fights out of his last 5 before this fight has affected his confidence, self-belief, and his drive. That might have been his motivation. And I know it's ridiculous, but some fighters, when you become world champion, you walk in a ring and you believe you are unbeatable. You no man can beat you, no matter what. Then when you take a beating, you think, oh, I made a mistake there. I'll fix that. But then when you know a man can beat you, now your motivation to do what you're doing has changed. And I think he's struggling to get that same natural fire instinct fired up inside him. And believe me, I believe he'll do everything asked of him in the ring. And actually, when he was fighting, you could see he was trying to implement just a little something here, little something there. But I just think, and I feel shit for saying it because I like AJ. But if you ask me a question, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna say what I've seen. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's just how it is, and I don't know how it's gonna go down. But you don't ask me, and I won't tell you.
Yes, so Derek James was asked what he would like next for Joshua, and his response was whatever Anthony Joshua wants to do. Now, normally trainers would, Dominic Ingles very brutally honest when it comes to Kell Brook, like, yes, we'll fight Conor Benn, but he won't accept other tough fights for Kell Brook because he knows that those fights Kell just won't win. He's looking out for him and making sure that there's winnable potential fights. Yesterday, Joshua spoke about an honor to fight for the WBC belt, and an honor to fight Tyson Fury, and Eddie Hearn talking about how, we want to start negotiating with Team Fury and Frank Warren and George Warren, etc. We know that's a huge money fight, and Saudi Arabia would throw a lot of money towards that. I'm just being brutally honest here from your perspective. Do you think it's almost like, let's fight Fury and let's
cash out?
I'm not using the word cash out. I'm saying, make as much money as
and that's what I'm saying to you. And I think the guy that AJ portrays himself to be, and that we've seen publicly, I think he's an honourable guy with a good heart, and I think he would struggle, even though he might say it. He'll say what has to be said. I think he struggles to go against what he really feels and believes in. That's his drive, and I think he struggled to go in there and think, I'm going to go in this fight. I'm not going to win. I'm going to get paid a lot of money. I think he'd struggle. Most of us would be able to. Right, I'll get my arse bust X, Y, Z, and I'm not saying it's his arse bust. What I'm saying is, he doesn't seem that kind of guy that would sell his soul like that. And I could be wrong. And he might say, you know what, this is business. I'm doing business, and he might have to talk himself into that. This is business. But I truly believe that. And as I said after the last Usyk fight, this guy needs to walk away. That walk away now for a year and get in his head why he wants to fight, what his motivation is to fight. Because if your motivation is wrong, you get turned over at the wrong time by someone that shouldn't turn you over. If your motivation is right, you'll come back with fire. And what I saw last night, I didn't see fire. I saw intent. I didn't see natural raw instinct. I saw somebody going through the motions. I didn't see that rough edge or all the experience that he's been through in his career up to this point coming together. If you've won, lost, drawn, if you've been knocked out, if you've been through all the sides of boxing, that can only either make you or break you, because you learn from them. And you think, right, this is me. And I actually feel as though AJ's, even though I could see him trying to implement what he was learning, I actually saw him make what could have been an easy fight harder. And he had all the attributes were there. It was there for him, but he seemed to make what should have been an easier fight harder. Now it sounds like I'm taking something away from Franklin. Remember, he took Dylan White to the line. Franklin's a good fighter. He'd only lost it to Dylan White to that point, and he's younger than AJ. And so it sounds like I'm taking someone away from that. But we're focusing on Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua should deal with Franklin. You know, should be able to deal with him. But I just think he made what could have been an easier fight harder for himself. I believe he won, but and so I was underwhelmed, and I can't believe I'm actually coming out of this because, but you've got to be straight, man. You've got to be straight, and you know what? You're gonna get haters out there saying you're saying this because he's not this guy. No, if you're honest with yourself, come on. You're gonna get people like Tyson Fury trying to take the piss and trying to drag it out. No, you've got to be saying how he is. And you know what? Tyson Fury might be the fighter that AJ can lift himself up for, like Kell against Khan. Kell, his career was dipping, but when he came against Khan, boom, he's back up there. So he might be the guy for Anthony Joshua. So Anthony Joshua may now need to start picking who he fights because he might end up losing the people he shouldn't lose to because they can't lift him, they can't give him that fire, that natural instinct in his belly. You know, so maybe he has to stay top tier because he'll lose to people that he shouldn't lose to.
Eddie said that he would like to get Joshua out in September and then another fight. In July, not September, in July, and then another fight towards the end of the year. So 3 fights this year. Has that also been a problem where he hasn't been active enough, and just generally fighters are just not active enough?
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, I understand at one point AJ was busy, and so therefore, you know, improvement was showing slowly but surely. I can't contradict myself and say he's not being active enough, and then say he should have time out. He needs time out to fix that, his drive, his motivation, his want. That's what he needs time out for. And so again, after the Usyk fight, I said, this is not the worst stage he's going to go through. You know, when he goes home, when he's by himself and he closes his eyes and he's walking out thinking, what more? The next year is going to be the hardest thing for Anthony Joshua because he's got to now find a new motivation that sets him on fire. And last night, you know what? I'm glad he got out there. I'm glad he got the win. I'm glad he put himself back in the picture and create a debate. Got people talking as he got it, hasn't he got it? But I just think to get him out again, he's his own boss. He's his own ruler. And if Eddie's saying he wants to get him out again and AJ's happy for that, he knows his path and he knows what works for him.
They say you should judge a fighter on their last performance. So based on Anthony Joshua's last performance and Tyson Fury's last performance, if they fight tomorrow, what happens?
I say Tyson Fury. You know, if you're basing it on the last performance. You know, so and remember, when you're commenting on this, remember what I've said before and then what I've said after. Don't just look at the line, what I've said. I think Anthony Joshua has the ability to beat Tyson Fury, but if you are judging it on the last fight, you'd have to side with Tyson Fury.
Also, just towards the end of the fight, we saw Franklin's team and Joshua almost kick off a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I just think, what was all that about? You know what I mean? I think was it a bit of friendly banter gone a bit sour and like misunderstood? Was that what it was? A bit of friendly hugging, and then all of a sudden it turned serious. One was like, "Yo, I ain't playing no games with you," you know. So was it that? But I just think again, there's some rookie things that are going on. Thinking, AJ 33, man, you need to just own your shit. Be who you want. Own your shit. You don't have to be his friend. You know, you don't have to make a man feel comfortable around you. You know, own your shit. And it's hard. It's hard because you are the only person I've done an interview today, and I've had a few phone calls. I'm thinking I don't want to do it because I don't like what's going to come out of my mouth, and I'm not comfortable with it. But I've got to say that's my truth. That's how I see it. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean you ask me my opinion. It's only my opinion. And I hope to God I'm wrong because I think Anthony Joshua for British boxing, especially heavyweight boxing, has been a rainbow. He's been the treasure at the end of the rainbow. And right now, there's still fights out there. And you know what? You know, Fury, his biggest payday will be against Anthony Joshua. Wilder, his biggest payday would have been against Anthony Joshua. Even now. So Anthony Joshua, the attraction, the money, the pedigree, that what he's done as a professional fighter has been great for our sport. So Anthony Joshua now has got to either put his hard hat on and ignore the bullshit that people like me are saying and think, right, this is my plan, this is what I'm doing, I don't care. Or he's got to think strong and hard and think, right, what do I want? I'm a mercenary. Can my soul let me be that? Can my soul let me be a money fighter? Or where do I go? What do I do? Or would it take 2 or 3 fights down the line for me to raise like a phoenix out of the fire? I hope all those things happen. But looking at last night's fight, I actually it wasn't comfortable watching.
Those big fights with Wilder and Fury, they've tried to make them in the past, haven't been successful. A man that's waiting and wants a match with Joshua is Dillian Whyte. If it's not a Fury, if it's not a Wilder, if it's not a Joyce, does he take on someone like Dillian Whyte? Is that a good fight for him? Is that a fight that potentially he can get up for with all the history?
Yeah, that is a fight. That's a good fight for him to go forward to. But again, it's about you're going a path. So my path is I want to be world champion. So if you don't think you're ever going to get through that line of being world champion, then your drive, your journey, your engine is not as powerful because you think, well, I'll go through the motion for this, but where next? And so Anthony Joshua, the only doubt he has in his head now is the only other doubt in his head is Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, because he doesn't know if he could beat them or not, and they don't either. We can all speculate. So they're his drives, and so that's where he can build up some kind of hope and think, well, I can do this. He knows Usyk's got his number, so there's 2 belts he ain't getting. So to fight Dillian Whyte with a view to actually boxing for a world title again and winning it, that must be his mindset. That must be what he does. But a Dillian Whyte fight would be a good fight because both fighters have lost, been turned over. Both fighters have got history. Both fighters will put massive bombs on seats. Both fighters will earn well out of it.
Just finally, Johnny, before I let you go, we saw Conor Benn make his kind of return to boxing events. We saw him in the crowds and taking pictures and selfies. Gareth A. Davis tried to take the mic to him and speak to him, and almost Conor pushed the mic away from Gareth. Gareth didn't get offended, but obviously he did what he did. Just wanted to get your reaction on obviously Conor coming back and showing his face in events, and also then pushing the mic away from Gareth Davis.
So Conor Benn, that's his truth. As far as he's concerned, he's done no wrong. So he's going to be hurt by what people are saying, accusing him of doing. So why on earth would he want to do an interview with Gareth or anybody that's been slagging him down, saying why he's done this? He's pissed off, and as far as he's concerned, he's telling the truth. So why should he? A kid wears his heart on his sleeve. So I think it was very presumptuous of Gareth to think he'd get an interview out of Conor after saying what he says. But as a journalist, he did his job. He asked the right question. He asked the questions. But most journalists don't ask the questions for fear of not getting an interview with the person they're interviewing down the line. Gareth has said what he said and gone back to get a word from Conor because Conor's now president and Conor's cussed him out. So I can understand why both of them have done what they've done. I can understand where they're both coming from. Conor's truth is Conor's truth. He believes what he believes and he doesn't like how people have turned on him. So I don't misunderstand why he did that. For Gareth, he's doing his job. He's doing a good job where he's asking the questions. Now he's asking the questions. If you've got an opinion, his opinion, Conor just didn't like his opinion. And I'm quite sure it's not just up to Gareth. You know, most people that have been on his back, he's like, yo, run him. You know, he's like, nah, you know, I've seen you guys have been cool to me. You guys have said X, Y, Z to me. So I understand both of them. I understand where they're both coming from.
Okay, Johnny, appreciate your time. As you mentioned there, you refuse other interviews, so I appreciate you giving me some of your time. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you maybe next week if you're at the press conference, or the next event, which is I think is Birmingham.
See you Tuesday, brother.
Johnny Nelson, IFL TV, thank you very much.
Right, the bouncer's gulping.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,